Hi, in this video lesson we are going to talk about Kerberoasting and ASREPRoasting. Let's look into those two concepts. Kerberoasting, let's look into Active Directory as a whole so we can get the complete picture. In Active Directory, you're required to set an SPN for a service account, and that service account is going to act as a principal on behalf of a service. Now, the way that Active Directory works is that by design, you will always be able to request a Kerberos TGS service for that set service account. And the ticket is going to be encrypted with the service account's enter and password hash. Now, what you can do as an attack is that you can request as many tickets, essentially, as you can get for users that have an SPN set, and then try to offline brute force or use a dictionary attack trying to crack that ticket, essentially a password brute forcing attack. If you manage to break the Kerberos ticket, essentially open it, that would mean that you have the password of that service account. So really the success of this attack depends on the strength of the password of the service account that has an SPN set. Extracting these Kerberos TGSs is relatively simple, and there's a lot of tools which can do the job. For example, on the slide currently, I have shown a PowerShell command which will go forward and download from GitHub a tool or a script code to invoke Kerberoast, which will execute and output all Kerberos TGTs that it can extract in the directory and then store it into a file called kerb-hash0.txt. This list can be quite lengthy in big environments, but of course you also have the ability to perform this for a specific set user, or as attackers call it, it's an attack known as targeted Kerberoasting. So if we get all the tickets, what we can go forward with is pass them to a password cracking tool. In this case, we've used Hashcat. It could also be just as well John the Ripper or any other password cracking tool. And what we can see in here is that the status of the ticket, the cracking status of the ticket is that it's cracked. And in the file called cracked kerb1, we can see the actual password in plain text that was used. Again, this indicates the password of the service account that had the SPN that we used to extract Kerberos TGSs. Now, this is really only possible, the success, because service accounts tend to have weak passwords. We will always be able to extract those TGSs primarily because that's the way that Active Directory works. But if service accounts have strong and long passwords of say 100 characters, then it's going to be practically impossible to break that password. So one option to prevent Kerberoasting is that we can use a group managed service accounts, which are special accounts that live in Active Directory, where Active Directory alone manages the passwords of those service accounts. So in every set days, for example, every 30 days, the password will automatically be changed and set to the maximum possible value in Active Directory, which is 127 characters long. And that makes it basically impractical to crack those passwords. Second solution, when you have a normal service account, you should use long password. Again, 100 character or more is the advice here, and I'm saying 100 character or more instead of 127, which is the highest, because with 100 characters or more, you can choose a buffer value between 100 and 127, which opens additional cracking spaces that an attacker would have to go through to guess the password. Because if we set the password is set to always 100 characters, then they always know to go and crack 100 characters. But when there's a buffer between 100 and 127, it makes the address space completely impractical to go through. So Generally, group managed service accounts are preferred to be used. However, they have a bunch of limitations, and they tend to work primarily only with Microsoft services. So if you have an MS SQL or ISS service running somewhere, yes, you should definitely go forward and utilize group managed service accounts. But if you have something custom, the likelihood of the need having to use a normal service account is pretty high. You should definitely go and just set a long password for that user instead. The next topic on the list is ASREPRoast, and really this is a very similar attack to Kerberos. However, the tickets that we're extracting right now are dependent on whether a user has the attribute Kerberos pre-authentication set or not. So now we're not looking into user accounts or service accounts with SPN set, but we're looking into those that have Kerberos pre-authentication not required. So we'll end up extracting similar tickets that we can go forward and try to crack again. And the cracking of the password primarily depends on the strength of the user password. So the longer the password and the more random it is, the less likelihood of breaking it. And really, if this is a service account that would require this to be set, there's no reason for that service account to have a password of less than 100 characters. Well, I can think of one reason, and that is that the service where this account might be used simply does not support that long password. And if that is the case, then my advice would be that the password should be at least 32 characters or above, because then again we're entering other spaces which are impractical to go through and brute force. So how do we prevent it? Well, don't set the Kerberos authentication not required to begin with. Then this is completely mitigated. There's no risk of anyone extracting Kerberos tickets for those users. But of course, if we need to do it, then we need to make sure that the passwords are long and uncrackable.